This is the process of how I made this battered and bruised wedding ring. This ring is made of 14 karat fair mined gold, and so the first thing I did, as I usually do, is to create the alloy. This alloy was made of 58.3% gold, and the rest of it was split evenly between silver and copper. Then I melted it and created the ingot, and all the red bits you see is borax, which is what permits gold to not get stuck. Once I cleaned that out, then I started to roll it with my mill. And then I used my mill to create a rectangular shape rather than a square. I started to bend it, and let me tell you, 14 karat gold is incredibly hard, so take that into consideration in your next designs. Once I had the shape of the ring, I sorted it with hard solder. I hammered it round, and as you can see, I draw a small line on my mandrel, and that way I know exactly the size I want the ring to be. And as an advice, I just keep my rings usually just slightly smaller, because after I file them and clean the inside, they will become just slightly bigger. Once I had the base ring, it was time to create the pattern. I cleaned up all the oxidation, and then I started drawing the patterns, and these were just loose ideas. Then I used my files and drill bits to create the actual pattern on the ring. I used different kind of techniques to get a bruised effect. I opened some holes quite a lot because those were the ones where I was gonna put the copper foil. I milled a copper sheet so that it was as thin as it possibly could, and I also annealed it so that it would be softer. And then I cut small pieces and started bending them around the ring and pushing them inside the holes. To have them stick to the ring, since this is not a traditional kind of inlay, I had to use some solder. So what I did is that I cleaned the hole very well each time. I put some very small bits of silver solder, because then oxidizer would become black and it would have a better effect, in my opinion. And then I pushed the metal in the hole so that it would adhere better to the ring. I hope this makes sense to somebody. And then I started heating the ring. It's very important to heat the ring and not the copper, because the copper is so thin that it can melt instead of soldering to the ring. I bent the copper metal around just so that it would stay in place. This has made it a lot easier for me to solder more pieces in one go. And then I opened up the flaps, I cut them and started cleaning up with my files so that copper remained only inside the hole. So I decided to apply all the marks, and I have 4 marks that I apply. One, it's fair mined, then there's our company number, then there's our logo, and obviously the carat of the gold. And then it was time for enameling. I'm using this enamel that looks grey, but it's not. It's moss green, and it has a lovely sparkle and texture to it. I heat it by flame because I think it gives a less perfect surface, which is what I wanted for this battered and bruised ring. I applied the enamel not only in the holes where it was supposed to be by my design, but also in some points where the copper was, to give it different colors. Once I had all my surfaces ready, then I started to put all the really small details on this ring because I wanted it to feel really battered and bruised. Then I started painting the box like a sky, and this is something we do to every one of our boxes, just because I honestly think it looks amazing. The idea behind this ring, which was in this case a wedding ring, it's that of a ring that has been lost and then left behind, so that it was battered and bruised and ruined, and when it was found again it was better, because of what it had to bear and all the challenges it had to face before being found again. And finally, it was time for setting all the sapphires, and these are bluish green sapphires that have been found in Madagascar and cut in Sri Lanka, are completely traceable and unheated, untreated in any way, and we absolutely love them. And I thought it would have a really nice contrast with the yellow gold. I'm doing this under the microscope because the stones were from 1.5 millimeters to 2 millimeters, so they were quite small, and in this way I can see exactly how each stone is set inside the band. Also, in my opinion, this is just more precise, and I like to see what I'm working on. What I'm doing here is creating tiny beads of gold that will hold in place the sapphires. And this being a wedding band, it needs to be durable, it needs to stand the test of time. And it will change with the wearer and become even more intimate and personal. Finally, it was time to give it a good polish, and this is what the final ring looks like. I think it's stunning, to be honest, but I made it, so it's not really fair. Finally, I put this ring inside its box and it was ready to ship. And this is the story of the inspiration behind this ring and how it came to life. If you have any questions on how, why I made it and what techniques I used, and if you need any help on anything regarding jewelry, please don't hesitate to ask me. I'll be more than happy to answer any question on jewelry every day, all day. I hope you've enjoyed this process and got some new ideas from it. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.